So just begin sitting comfortably, and whatever that is for you, so that your spine can be nice and long. We can let ourselves go in, so either close the eyes or just let them be soft. And we'll begin to draw our breath in a little more slowly, elongate the breath a little more, so it can help us facilitate going inside. So if you're just coming in, we're sitting comfortably, coming into our body. So just breathing, allowing the belly to relax as you inhale and exhale. Allowing the shoulders to let go, hips. You want to add a little sound on your exhale. You can just let whatever wants to come out. It's an ah or a hum or a groan. Sigh. Letting our mind come to rest on our breath. You can bring your fingers to your heart as you continue to breathe slowly and evenly. Just tap around the heart and the thymus area. So you can allow a little waking up around that area, a little stimulation of our immune system. Tapping a little bit around the collarbone. A lot of activity going on outside. I don't know if you can hear it in the background here. Good. And bring your fingers up to your head and just massage the scalp. Just kind of stimulate all those meridians that run through our scalp. Might get a little tingle when you do this. Wake up the head. And then bringing our hands to our ears and a little massage for our ears. Gently pulling, rubbing all around the ears. And then bring our fingers inside of the ears, just gently pull down and hold for a breath. So this just brings our vagus nerve online. So the vagus nerve regulates our body. Might feel more relaxed when you do that. And then releasing from there, bring the arms out, and we'll just give our spine a little bit of movement, waking up our spine, flapping our wings, reaching our arms forward, and then pulling the arms back and lifting the heart. Kind of feel the shoulder blades squeeze together a little bit, moving back and forth, letting the spine articulate a little bit. Good, and then we'll just let our arms come down by our side. And we're going to come into Swan to begin with. So you might want to have a bolster or a pillow, but bring your right leg forward. And you can keep it in a 90-degree angle like that, or you can bring your foot in closer toward your hip or toward your pelvis. And we'll slide our left leg back. So it's kind of just a matter of preference, whether you want more bend in the knee or you want to bring that foot up higher. I'm going to have to nurse my foot a little bit today. It's a little sore. And then we're going to start with our hands on the mat here. Just stretching that left leg back. So coming into whatever version of Swan feels good to you, whether you're off to the side, off of your hip to the right, or if you're more on top of your hip, or even if you really like to put the compression on your knee, you can bring yourself all the way up on top of your leg with your leg folded under you. Right? There's all the various ways to come into this position, also called pigeon in yoga, very similar. And we're just gonna look forward here and breathe, just going inside and feeling what's going on. So in yin, we always start with finding our edge, right? The first tattva of yin is to come to your edge. Finding that place where you begin to feel some resistance, maybe a little discomfort. Feel that stretch in your right hip in this particular pose. And if you'd like a little more compression in your knee, of course, bringing your foot closer to you, we'll do that. Everybody's knees are different. Find what works for you. You can also put a pillow or a block or something under your right hip if you need more support. You can have a more supported version of this pose. Feel that stretch through the front of our left hip. Well, just letting go into the pose. Once we find our edge, we just hold still or remain still in the pose until and unless our body invites us to go a little deeper or needs us to back off a little bit. Change, and then we can come down onto our elbows. And at this point, you might stay on your forearms, or you might come all the way down onto the leg. And you might have a pillow or a yoga block. I did mention bring yoga blocks with you today. Have them. You could also put something like a yoga block underneath your forehead like that. Relax your head on. You really want to be able to kind of center the pose around the focus of the pose, what it's targeted toward. And in this case, we're getting that really deep stretch through the lateral hip and the IT band particularly, as well as there's compression in the hip joint and to whatever extent in the knee joint, as well as that stretch in the front of our left hip. even though it's quite a wonderful hip stretch and really beneficial for our sacrum and for our sciatic nerve channel. The purpose of yin poses is, or the primary principle of yin poses is really about the stress that is being put on those deeper layers, right? The deeper layers of fascia, whether they're in the muscles or in the joints, which is why we hold the pose for a period of time to let that stress, just allow that stress to really take hold and allow the body to be able to relax while it's being stressed, while that stress is happening. If there ever is any nerve type of tingling or pinching or pain that's sort of a sharp pain or anything like that, you know that's going past the point of where we should be in a yin pose. So we want to definitely come out. Right? That happens. Noticing the breath. Is it relaxed? Breathing fairly evenly, lengthening the breath out a bit. So we're going to use our elbows, our arms on the ground, to gently press ourselves back up. And we always want to make sure we come out slowly. And then as you come up, you can draw that left leg up and bring yourself around to sitting. This foot's going to be a little bit cranky today, so I need to move my foot with me. And you can just let the legs move around however it feels good to you, whether that's to extend them out and give them a little shake, or if you want to windshield wiper the legs. Just notice how that right leg feels compared to your left. And we'll come to the other side. So if you're using something for your head, whether it's for your arms, you can bring that over and bring that left leg out. And again, you might like it at a 90-degree angle from your hip. Straighten that right leg back as far as you can. You might want to bring your foot in closer. You can roll off to the left a little bit, or you can come all the way on top. Just finding what position works best for you on this side. And we'll stay in a lifted position to start with our hands propping us up here. Can't get my right leg all the way straight. This side, I like to climb all the way up on top of my leg. So you might also find one side to be different than the other. Just taking taking your time coming in to find your edge. Everybody's knees will need a different amount of compression, probably, right? So really healthy for the knees to put that pressure on the joint. Of course, if your knees can handle it. It does keep our joints hydrated and stretched out, and those deeper layers of fascia, if we can put the compression into the joints. Of course, when we're up on our hands in this pose, we're also activating our shoulders and our arms and kind of engaging the shoulders as well as getting a little bit of a back bend. Low back gets a little bit of compression. And is all about surrender and yielding. So we take the time to surrender into the pose. Allow gravity and time to do the work. Yoga originated, the origination of yoga was more yin-like. Started out really as meditation, where a person would sit on a block. That's how yoga started. And the word asana comes from the Indian word, whatever the original Sanskrit word was for block. It's where asana comes from. That was the original yoga pose. And then if you would like to come down onto your forearms and come into more of a sleeping swan. Again, you might rest your head on a block or have your arms or head on a pillow or just lay down all the way onto your hands. Works for you. The word yoga meant discipline. So yoga is a discipline around cultivating attention. It's only been in the last couple of hundred years that yang yoga has emerged. The yoga that most people think of, in this country at least, in our country. When they think of yoga, more active yoga. You need the balance of yin and yang. Balance is most important. So we need both. One can't exist without the other. You go too far to the yang side, you're going to eventually have to come over to the yin side. You go too far to the yin side, you'll find yourself coming automatically to the yang side. It's a natural reflex. Also, if there is ever a pose that we're doing where you feel like it's not the right thing for your body or you need something else, just feel free to find a different pose, maybe one that targets the same area of the body in some way. But whatever your body needs, we want to make sure that we're listening to our body more than trying to get into a pose. Like we say in yin, we use the pose to get into our body. We don't use our body to get into a pose. Right? So it's all about what feels right for your body in this moment. So we'll slowly start to bring ourselves out by using our arms to press up. And as we come up, we can slide our right leg forward, round, bring our legs in front and move them around in whatever way feels good to you. Shake them or windshield wiper them or just extend both legs out in front. And we'll come into a caterpillar pose for a little bit. So you want to make sure that your pelvis can come forward. So if you need to sit on something in order to do that, so you're not leaning back, the pelvis isn't leaning back, just relax forward. So without forcing it, just letting gravity take us forward here. You can allow your head to hang if that's comfortable and the spine to round. That will give our spine a nice stretch and decompress the vertebra. That's comfortable for you. You might be able to reach your feet at some point. like to, you can just gently pull back and inflection. If that feels good to you, to increase the stretch behind the calves and the knees. Caterpillar is a great stretch for the bladder channel that runs all the way up the back of our legs, hips, all the way up our back of the neck, all the way up the back side of our body. Where we can tend to store the unprocessed emotions, the bladder meridian. Unprocessed emotions get stored there. It's a very important channel, which they all are. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to slowly come up. You're upright, and we'll bend our knees and bring our hands behind the hips. And you can lean back on the hands. That's the heart. If you can, bring the hips up and down a few times. Little movement of energy and blood through our legs here and our arms. And then we'll come around onto our belly. You might want to have a pillow or something handy. Folded up blanket. And we'll come into Sphinx pose. So bringing the elbows under the shoulders. You might want to rock your pelvis a little bit back and forth, rock your body a little bit. Get used to this back bend pose. Like to let your head hang down or lift it up and look up and kind of get a stretch in the front of the chest and head, neck, as well as a little bit of compression in the back of the neck. We'll counterpose to that forward fold head hang. You might like to move your head around, whatever feels good to your head and neck. You can also rest your chin on your hands if your neck needs a little bit more support. And you might lift the feet if you'd like to add a little more compression to the low back, to the lumbar, and a little more stretch to the front of the legs and hips. Sphinx is a gentle back bend that is extremely beneficial to our low back and our kidneys, that kidney channel. These are the seat of our will. Chinese medicine, they believe that all dysfunction or all disease or all disharmonies in the body can be traced back to the kidneys. So they're extremely important. Chinese medicine. It's also a really good pose for helping to prevent osteoporosis or bone loss, which can happen in the low back, can begin in the low back. Our legs straight. We're going to take a little break with a shoulder stretch in half frog, and this time it's going to be a little bit different. So if you want to slide your left knee up towards your left shoulder, and then bring your left arm under the right, we'll get a really good stretch across the top of our left arm, and you might just rest your forehead down on your right hand. Or if you need a pillow under your head or something, that's a pretty good stretch across the top of that left arm. So just allowing yourself to breathe into it. Okay, and we'll bring our head and chest up and slide that left arm back through, bring it out, slide the left leg down, come back into Sphinx, or if you'd like to come into Seal, you can straighten the arms and widen the arms a little bit apart, pointing the fingers away from you. You can bring a pillow underneath your pelvis if you need support in Seal. You can stay in Sphinx and maybe put a folded folded up blanket underneath your arms to increase the back bend, or just lift your feet behind you so that you increase the back bend that way. Totally a natural reflex for the butt muscles to tense if you're in seal. Protective mechanism for the joint, the sacrum. And of course, any of these variations you can move in and out of as it feels right for you. And out of Sphinx and Seal. We won't be here too long. Feels a bit more of a yang and yin combination, maybe more evenly balanced there between the yang and the yin. It's very activating for the upper body, shoulders and arms. So if you are up in Seal and want to start to make your way down to Sphinx, kind of gradually come down. We'll bring our right knee up toward our right shoulder, and then take that right arm through. You might just rest your forehead on your hand, looking down, or just find what works for you to accommodate this shoulder arm stretch on the right side. Just allowing that right hip to open and relax. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring ourselves up and slide the right arm back through and slide the right leg down and come up to our hands and knees. If you aren't able to be on your knees, you can find a different position to move your spine. So we're just going to move our spine in a little cat-cow movement here. So letting the tailbone curl under, rounding. Maybe you can let the head drop and relax. And then coming into an arch. Just going back and forth. The cat and the cow. Then we'll just circle our hips and kind of let the body move however it wants to. So maybe letting the shoulders and the head go and just of a spiraling motion. And the other direction. Good. And then we'll sit back into a child's pose. You're not able to sit on back onto your heels, you can be on your back and maybe come into a happy baby. And let's open our knees apart. And you can either have your feet together or apart if you are comfortable. And if you can, have your arms stretched out in front. Let the chest drop. And feel a stretch under the shoulders. Maybe rest your forehead on the ground. And then we'll move ourselves up from there and onto the knees again. So here's where you might like to have blocks if you need them. And we're going to bring our right foot forward. If you need to be on your back for this, you can come into a reclining lunge on your back. But just allow your body to sort of rock in and out, go forward and rock back a bit to find that lunge of blocks that you want to put your hands on for support. Support here, dragon. If you are on your back and you might have a strap around your right foot and pull it down, pulling the knee down toward the ground, with the sole of your foot facing the ceiling, stretching your left leg long. You're lunging on the ceiling. If you are on the mat, you can bring both hands to the inside of your right foot. And we're going to kind of come lower down. And if you need a block under your elbow, you can do that. Or if you can just bring your elbows to the ground or just leave your hands on the ground, any way that works for you. But just wing that right knee out and sort of roll a little bit onto the outer edge of your right foot. Open the hip. And from here, we're going to take hold of our right leg and take a little twist to the right. So looking behind you, over the right shoulder, twisting dragon. And come back around to face forward with both hands inside of the leg again. Unwind from that. Just a little winged dragon. And then bring your right hand back around, lifting the knee up, left hand on the left side. So we're back where we started. Go ahead and lean back, straightening that leg. Resting your belly on your thigh. Then we'll bring our right leg underneath us and bring the left foot forward. So here again, you might rock in and out a little bit to find your lunge. Or if you're on your back, switch to your left leg, of course. Making sure our feet are lined up with the hips and not with each other. Just find that lunge. And then we'll bring both hands to the inside, or of course on the block or on the ground, sort of wing that left knee out, kind of roll a little bit, just a little bit to the outside of the foot to open the hip a little bit. Might be on a block or on your hand or elbow, just finding the position that works for you. And then we'll just take our left hand to our left leg and take a little twist, feeling that right hip drop a little bit. Just looking back, a little twisting dragon. And we'll start to wind our way back, bringing both arms to the inside of our left leg. And whatever works for you here. Our left hand back around to the outside of our left leg, lifting that knee up. We'll lean back and straighten our left leg and just let our belly sort of rest on the thigh for a moment. And bring our left leg back underneath us. We're going to come around onto our back, and here you might want to use blocks or pillows or something for support when we come into the twist, but we're going to start by hugging our knees. Blocks there. Put your knees into your chest. Just relax your body. Might like to bring your head up to your knees and kind of curl into a ball. And make sure your head is laying down on the ground, and we'll put our left leg or left foot down. Go ahead and straighten your right leg to the ceiling. And you're just going to let your left knee open to the side. So your foot is fairly close to your hip. Just kind of let that knee drop open. Give this foot a little bit of movement. The right foot, maybe give it a little circle or flex and point. Our leg in the air here. Our bolstering on our left side. We're going to guide our leg. If you can, keep it straight, at least for a while. Take it over across the body. Here's where you want to support that leg with pillows or blocks. Your hand, and extend your right arm out from your right shoulder. So with that right leg straight, of course, we're really going to feel that stretch through the whole outer lateral part of our leg and hip. But anytime you want to bend the leg and let it relax in the twist, feel free to do so. Keep it as straight as long as you want to, or just leave it bent. Really up to your personal preference. Want to make sure our leg is supported though, so we can allow ourselves to relax into the twist. So I'm keeping that right shoulder all the way on the ground, letting that right arm be slightly bent. Taking a twist at the end. It's such a nice way to reset the nervous system and recalibrate our spine, as well as relax the body even more. And we'll make sure the right leg is bent, and you can grab hold of it with your right hand and draw it up toward your chest. We can center ourselves on our back, bring both knees in and relax the body, maybe rock around. If you have bolster on the left side, you can bring it over to the right side. We'll put our right foot on the ground, straighten the left leg up to the ceiling, holding on. Just letting that right knee drop open out to the right. So your foot is close to the hip here. You might move your foot, circle the foot around, or whatever feels good to you here. We'll guide our left leg across the body, extending our left arm out from our shoulder. And if you can keep it straight for the first little bit of time for that stretch. Also, if you happen to have a surface, a wall or a table, I have a little table here where you can press your foot against and get that support. It's a really nice way to get that stretch through shoulder, hip, and leg. And anytime you want to bend your knee and just let it relax. Twists are so good for our whole digestive system, right? The spleen, the stomach, intestines. Of course, all of the internal organs get a little massage and a twist. Very nurturing. If you like to continue to stay in the twist a little bit longer, you can just let yourself hang out there. Or if you want to come onto your back slowly and either hug your knees or move around in whatever way feels good to you, we're just going to take a moment to integrate. So relax on your back in whatever way is comfortable. And just taking some nice full breaths, feeling the breath circulating the chi, the energy throughout your body, noticing how you feel. Just noticing how your breath is, noticing how your mind is. Just giving thanks to our body for being there for us. And giving thanks to our breath for being there for us. Thanks to Gaia, to the earth, to the mother for being there for us. And a little Tibetan Buddhist prayer that I like. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May I be healed. May I be a source of healing for all beings. So feel free to continue to lie down and relax, or get up slowly if you want. And I thank you all for joining me today.